Hey y'all, rumors are exploding online that Nancy Guthrie may have been taken into Mexico. Social media is flooded with claims, speculation, and worst-case scenarios. But here's the critical question. Is there actually any evidence she crossed the border? Or is this fear outrunning the facts? Because right now, what authorities have confirmed and what the public are assuming are two different things. Nancy disappeared from the Tucson area, a region that sits relatively close to the U.S.-Mexico border. Whenever a kidnapping happens near a border zone, investigators automatically consider the possibility that the victim could be moved across it. That alone is enough to trigger public concern. But in this case, speculation intensified after law enforcement actively focused near Rio Rico, a town south of Tucson and close to the border. A man I reported on earlier in this case was detained there while authorities searched a property with federal assistance. He was later released without charges. Officials never said Nancy was in Mexico. They only confirmed they were following leads. In cross-border cases, law enforcement typically checks a wide range of possibilities, even without proof of flight. That includes surveillance at official ports of entry, highway cameras heading south, license plate readers, known smuggling routes, human trafficking intelligence, financial or communication clues. These steps are routine investigative work, not confirmation that a victim has been transported internationally. As of now, there has been no verified sighting of Nancy Guthrie in Mexico, no confirmed vehicle linked to her disappearance, no official statement that she crossed the border, and no public evidence released showing that she left the United States. Investigators continue to treat this as an active kidnapping investigation centered in Arizona. Several factors make this case especially vulnerable to runaway speculation. High-profile victim connected to a national figure, masked suspect captured on surveillance, ransom communications, lack of clear suspect information, massive media attention, and the geographic proximity to the border. Once the idea of Mexico enters the conversation, it spreads rapidly, especially online. History plays a role too. There have been past cases where victims were taken across borders, so people understandably fear the worst. But past cases are not proof of what happened here. From everything publicly confirmed, investigators are casting a wide net. They are not ruling anything in or out prematurely. Kidnapping investigations often involve pursuing multiple theories at once until evidence narrows the focus. That means looking locally, regionally, and potentially internationally, even if most leads ultimately go nowhere. Before I wrap this up, there has been a significant new on-the-ground update from reporter Brian Enton that adds important context to where the investigation stands right now. Enton described unusual activity at Nancy Guthrie's home, including a white pickup truck and a Subaru arriving at the property and being waved up the driveway by detectives. A man reportedly exited one of the vehicles carrying a briefcase. Two men were then seen going to the back of the house, entering briefly, and leaving shortly afterward. Authorities have not explained who they were or why they were there. Speculation has ranged from investigators retrieving items to specialists to routine evidence processing, but nothing has been confirmed. Detectives were also seen examining a neighbor's camera system, including a Ring floodlight camera, which stood out because the particular property had not appeared to be a focus earlier in the investigation. One of the most anticipated developments, the DNA from the glove, has now produced a disappointing result. The profile was entered into the National CODIS database and did not return a match. That means the unknown male DNA does not currently correspond to anyone whose profile is already in the system. Investigators stress this does not eliminate the evidence. It simply means the suspect may not be in the database. Authorities say the next step will be investigative genetic genealogy, or IgG, which uses broader DNA comparisons similar to ancestry databases. But that process can take weeks or even months. Officials are also cautioning that they still do not know whether the glove is actually connected to the kidnapping. It is evidence, but not necessarily the evidence. There is also growing discussion about why the DNA was sent to a private or contract lab instead of the FBI's Quantico facility. Sheriff Chris Nanos says the decision was based on capacity and prioritization. However, sources connected to the FBI reportedly suggested Quantico could have processed the evidence faster. This has fueled criticism that messaging between agencies may not be fully aligned. Authorities have formally cleared the Guthrie family, but debate continues about how the investigation has been communicated publicly. Some experts argue the FBI should take the lead on messaging to avoid mixed signals. Investigators are reportedly working through a large pool of potential persons of interest, possibly tied to items connected to the suspect, including backpack purchases or weapon accessories. This involves traditional detective work, reviewing records, showing photos to retailers, and narrowing the field. Experts say most ransom kidnappings involve quick contact and consistent demands, essentially treated as a transaction. But this case has not followed that pattern. There has been no sustained communication from whoever is responsible. Authorities are also attempting to recover additional footage from other camera systems, including Nest cameras. However, some data may have been overwritten due to inactive subscriptions, making recovery difficult. Investigators describe the process as peeling back layers. Officials say hundreds of personnel from multiple agencies are working around the clock. Evidence collected so far reportedly includes DNA, fingerprints, weapons, digital devices, and more. Yet investigators will not publicly speculate about motive or whether Nancy was targeted specifically. At this point, the investigation appears to be both massive in scope and deeply complex. There are active leads, evidence being processed, and multiple investigative paths underway, but no clear public breakthrough yet. The lack of a CODIS match, the uncertainty surrounding the glove, and the unusual nature of the ransom communications all suggest this case may not follow familiar patterns. Meanwhile, the continued activity at Nancy's home and surrounding properties shows that the investigators are still treating the scene as critical. And the fact that detectives are revisiting cameras, neighbors, and evidence suggests they are working to reconstruct every possible detail of what happened that night. This is not the picture of a case that has stalled. It's the picture of a case where the answers remain just out of reach. For Nancy's family, for investigators, and for the public, the waiting continues. And until something definitive emerges, the most honest assessment is this: there are many moving pieces, but no single piece has solved the puzzle. If new developments are confirmed, I will continue to bring you updates as they happen. And that's it for this recap. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for watching and supporting me. Be sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and click the bell so you don't miss any of my recaps. And remember, stay safe, stay curious, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, y'all.